The fan, sitting a few feet from your bed right now, has already been blamed for real deaths, not somewhere far away and not centuries ago. In South Korea, a huge number of people still believe that sleeping in a closed room with an electric fan running overnight can actually kill you before morning. It's called fan death, and for decades it wasn't treated as a joke. It was treated as a genuine, documented danger. Here's how the belief works. If you fall asleep in a sealed room with the windows shut and a fan blowing directly on you, the fear is that the fan will somehow use up all the oxygen in the room, or that the moving air will drop your body temperature so low overnight that your organs begin shutting down. Some versions of the story even claim the blades themselves can chop up the air into something dangerous to breathe. It sounds almost too strange to take seriously, but this fear didn't stay in the realm of rumor. It became official. The origins go back much further than most people expect. Newspapers in Korea were publishing warnings about the dangers of electric fans as early as the 1920s and 1930s, describing risks like nausea and facial paralysis from this strange new home appliance. Decades later, in the 1970s, the fear resurfaced again, this time tangled up with a national energy crisis. One popular theory claims the government quietly spread the fan death myth to discourage people from running electric fans all night, saving on national electricity use during a period of expensive imported oil. It's a compelling theory. It's also disputed. Researchers point out that warnings about fans go back to the 1920s, long before any energy crisis existed, which means the fear was already deeply rooted in Korean culture before anyone had a political reason to encourage it. Whatever the true origin, the fear never went away. It kept resurfacing generation after generation, showing up in newspaper stories nearly every summer, often attached to a real, tragic death where a fan simply happened to be running nearby. And in 2006, something happened that pushed the myth from folk belief into official government territory. South Korea's Consumer Protection Board issued a public safety alert listing asphyxiation from electric fans and air conditioners among the 5 most common summer accidents or injuries in the entire country. A government agency, using its own collected injury data, treated fan death as a real and ongoing risk to public safety. Because of that level of institutional seriousness, an entire industry adapted around the fear. To this day, a large share of electric fans manufactured and sold in Korea come equipped with a built-in timer. Specifically so, a sleeping person won't accidentally leave the fan running all night. Warning labels on the packaging caution about the risk of suffocation or hypothermia. Drivers have been known to crack a car window before running the air conditioning, just out of habit, just in case. So is any of it real? Scientifically, the answer is no. No credible study has ever found that a fan can meaningfully deplete the oxygen in a sealed room. Air simply doesn't work that way. A fan recirculates the same air, it doesn't consume it. And there's no accepted mechanism by which moving air alone could lower a sleeping person's body temperature far enough to cause organ failure, especially not in a normal indoor room. One prominent American climatologist who studies extreme heat and human health has publicly stated that he does not believe fan death is real and has said that a mistranslation once falsely credited him with endorsing the theory. In short, the specific danger everyone has been afraid of for 100 years doesn't hold up. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Just because the popular myth is false doesn't mean the object itself is completely safe. There is a real, documented, physical danger tied to electric fans, and it has nothing to do with oxygen or body temperature. When American safety investigators studied real-world incidents involving portable electric fans, they didn't find evidence of asphyxiation or hypothermia. They found something much more mundane and much more dangerous: failed motors, frayed appliance cords, worn-out switches. Out of over 200 documented incidents reviewed by U.S. product safety regulators, the vast majority weren't near misses. They were actual fires. A small number were even documented cases of electrocution or electric shock. The most common failure point wasn't some rare defect either. It was ordinary wear and tear, the kind that builds up quietly over years of everyday use, especially in older fans without modern thermal safety cutoffs. Box fans, desk fans, and pedestal fans were among the most frequently involved. Independent estimates that aggregate this kind of safety data suggest fans of all types are tied to roughly a couple thousand house fires every year in the United States alone, though the precise yearly number varies by source and is worth treating as an approximate range rather than an exact count. Think about how fans are actually used. They're left running for hours at a time, often overnight, often unattended, tucked into a corner of a bedroom, with nobody checking on them once the lights go out. A slowly failing motor doesn't announce itself with a warning label. It just gets a little hotter each night, a little more strained, until eventually something ignites. That's not a myth. That's a documented pattern behind a real category of house fires every single year. And there's a second real danger that almost nobody frames correctly, because health officials in the US have quietly warned about it for years, even though it barely makes headlines. In extremely high heat, running a fan in a sealed room isn't just ineffective, it can actually be counterproductive. When the outside temperature and the temperature in your room climb above roughly 90 degrees Fahrenheit, blowing that same hot air directly onto your skin doesn't cool you down. It can actually accelerate the onset of heat exhaustion because you're circulating air that's already hotter than your body, instead of drawing in anything cooler. Health agencies specifically advise against using a portable fan in a closed room with no outside airflow during extreme heat events for exactly this reason. So the truth ends up being almost the opposite of the myth. The fear that spread for 100 years, the idea that a fan could quietly kill you through oxygen loss or sudden hypothermia while you slept, was never supported by evidence. But the object sitting in the corner of your room, plugged in, running hour after hour, unattended, aging quietly, does carry a real risk. It's just not the one anyone warned you about. It's not a strange, invisible force stealing the air from your lungs. It's a small motor, a length of ordinary wire, and a switch, wearing down exactly the way every electrical appliance eventually does, sometimes without anyone noticing until it's already too late. The next time you leave a fan running through the night, the danger isn't the air it's pushing. It's how long it's been running, how old it is, and whether anyone's checked it in longer than they'd like to admit.